what Shindur get at the Indian that the Etzem is Nimshach Dafke B'chinas Shem. Gilui has a big mile g'deilev in the floor, but Gilui is this Galas HaMakar. So Gilui is in of Gilui is being expressed. If it's being expressed, that means that it's coming as some tfisa. The way it is be'etzem, it's beyond any hagdara, beyond any definition. So that's beyond Gilui. Gilui means the is being is nisgale. It means that it's being conveyed. Some message is being conveyed. It's already nisgale in a certain tnuah. So that's the mile of air is that through the air you have the Gilui HaMakar. You have the makar is nisgale through the air, but it's only the makar the way it relates to Gilui. Mashake the etzem of the makar, which is beyond Gilui, that's beyond Tayar, that's expressed dafka through Shem. That's what the Rebbe is saying here. And Al Dera says, "Six Miget Hashanah Matan Teira." The Matan Teira Taka there was a Gilui Niflamay. Since it was Gilui, so it had a shaykhus to Schalkus. It's not Sheil Schalkus, because Gilui means that the Indian is nisgal in some type of form. Masha'inkin, you're here with us. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So was haben wir gehalten? So Gilui ist Masha'inkin Shem. So Shem is like a Helim, but even though Shem is Helim, but dafke in the fact that it's Helim, that brings out the Etzem in two ways. The fact that he brings out the Erech Negeh to the being pale in the guf. So the fact that in Vaz Dik Tzachais that take a Etzem is the fact that it's able to affect even a guf. The fact that is that brings out the Atzmi. The fact that it's able to be Meir, is able to be effective even in a place which is not a keli for him, that expresses the Etzem. The Etzem is verbunden mit guf dafke. Even though L'chor you're going to say Nitzutzes Mimenu and Teiras, you're going to get to Leonavi. L'chor Nitzutzes and the Teira of Leonavi, that they're Kalim for Gilui. Nitzutz is in Ruchni, which L'chor expresses him more. Expresses his Neshama more. We say Fakert. Nitzutzes and Teira have Takamala, that his Galus HaMakar is through Nitzutz and Teira. But where do you, who finds that Etzem for the Makar, which is beyond Gilui, beyond expression, that's Dafka the fact that he's able to be Mispashit and able to be pale even in a guf, which is beyond it. The fact that a guf could be affected by the nefesh, even though the guf is not a keli to nefesh at all. The fact that the guf could be affected by his union, that's mitzad the etzem nefesh, which has no agdara klal. That's the nekuda. That's where good. So now so here we're seeing a mile in shame over etzem. In ken shame mamshich is etzem. That nekuda. There's av shegam b'chinas er nimshich atzmos. The mile is different. We're holding by this kontrasol. It's page 13. Towards the bottom. The Eil learned the yeah? Yeah. Chetzi. It's not good. Okay. After Gam B'chinas Er Nimshach Atzmos. So, what's the Iker? Those that are here or the tape? Or the recording? Pashas, those that are here, no? Sure. Good. After Gam B'chinas Er Nimshach Atzmos. So Gam B'chinas Er Nimshach Atzmos. Sha'er Ulerek Mein Amor Gam In Kol Inam Shvatzos. The Rebbe spoke earlier that when we say L'mayla Er Mein Amor, it's not like we say L'mata that what aspect of the etzem is Nimshach and Er, only that aspect of the etzem which is a makar for Gilui. L'mata the Mashal Ba'er HaShemesh. Those in what's the pshat Gilui? This is an important point here. What's the pshat Gilui? Gilui means the zgalus of the makar. That means that the Gilui has some relation to the makar. If the makar is fully beyond the whole concept of Gilui, then it's not shaykh to say that this Indian is an extension of him, expresses him. When you're saying er is this galas makar, that means that the makar with the have some type of relation. It means that Indian is expressed through this Indian. If the makar is a another Indian in Gansan, and the gabi the makar, the whole concept of Gilui doesn't exist, it's not shaykh to say that the is his Gilui, right? So in the it's saying the mashal and Hashemesh. There's this galas hamakar. Which in Yonim in the Shemesh are nisgala through her? That aspect of the makar which Gilui comes in as an extension of him, which Gilui expresses him. Which that's the fact that when they say the makar is behirus, the light of the makar. There's a concept of Gilui is a value legabi the musik of light. But the Kudus and the Shemesh have no shaykhish to Gilui. Let's say the fact that the Shemesh has a sagan alakus. The Rambam says the Shemesh is the seichel v'das. That Indian is not nisgal in there. The gabi that Indian is not a mile. The gabi that for the Shemesh is geidel havana v'sagan alakus. There, the Indian of his pashtus is not an inyan legabi that aspect of the shemesh. But Mela, it's not, so the whole concept of gili doesn't exist legabi that aspect. So legabi that, you're not going to say that it's not megalad that inyan. Is gili hamakir. So but if is gili and the makir is etzem. You see, the is this galus hamakir. It's the etzem the way it comes to be gili. But that means that gili relates somehow to the makir. How does the relate to the makir? Because through the gili expresses the hedrak bal of the makir. So it's neveah from that's what we say me'en amar. The mair is that there's a certain quality in being nizgal. The mair is that the makir has this ilui, has this inyan that he's not mugbal to dafka neifan of etzem, he can be nizgal. So that aspect is nizgal in there. Masha'enkin, the fact that the gabi, they say nyanim, the fact it is nyanim in atzvus, which the gabi that inyan gili is not an inyan. The fact that the eivah she'in le'ili v'siva she'kadmulei. We're not speaking about a ma'ile kaviyachol in atzvus, the inyan of moir in atzvus. The fact that the eivah she'in le'ili v'siva she'kadmulei. That inyan, that's not an inyan. The gabi that inyan gili is not a mitzias. Gili is not a verb. Gili is not an inyan the gabi that dar. The fact that the mitzias of atzvus is not related and not behemshech to anything. There's him and he's not here. He's not part of a certain context. There's him. So the guy with that, there's no inyanim, there's no ma'il of gili, it's a different concept, and that concept is not the guy with that inyan. Any musik is shalei be'erachtem legamri. So if you said so the gedra gili is not shaykh l'chor the guy with that inyan. Api pasha sadvar. You heard the minion. You hear what I'm saying? No? You don't understand what I'm saying? Chinese. Which part is interesting?
Certain yanim and certain yanim is not. Meaning,
I'm saying one point has to be clear.
I'm
saying one point has to be clear. When we say we say this is the gili of that. The makar is expressed through there. That means that the gili expresses the makar. That means that there's a relation between the makar and the inyan. If the makar if the whole concept of gili doesn't exist, the gabi the makar. The gabi the makar gili is not a reality. It doesn't exist. The whole concept of gili doesn't exist. Is it shaykh to say that there's going to be an which expresses him? If you'll have a darg in the makar over there, the concept of gili, of let's say is the fact that he's being expressed in actuality. If the whole concept of actuality, let's say, doesn't exist, so shaykh to say that the fact that actuality could express him, is a certain mode. It's this galus hamakir. That means that the makir, the gili is a mitzias legabi the makir. Or it's a concept of the Gabi the Makar, and he's expressed through this venue, through this Indian. But mitzad, so there is an aspect in Atzmas where Atzmas is Amar. Where Amar means that he contains within himself the quality of being Meir and Mizgala. So mitzad that Indian, is an Indian. There's a Maile Kaviyachol and a Makar that he can be Nizgala. And that aspect taka is a Makar for and expresses that aspect. Masha'egin, they have another Indian, the fact that Atzmas is Ein Le'ili V'siva Shekadmu. So he's beyond any concept. He's beyond any concept. So Gili is going to express him. He's beyond the concept of too. Legabi that Indian is not a mitzias. So how's the shaykh to say that the is his? In order to say that you're his expression, there has to be some type of link between the and the etzem. But if the etzem is legabi the mahusa etzem, the whole concept of Gili doesn't exist. It's not a mile, not a mile. The whole concept, reality doesn't exist like him. Before the whole concept of reality came into being. So there's no musik of Gili. There's no musakam at all. There's no concepts at all. So how is that? What does that have to do with air? Air is a certain mode in how something expresses itself. That's after there's a certain concept, there's a certain inyan. There's an etzem, there's a makar, there's a Gili. Before there's the concept of etzem, let's say. There's no etzem, there's him. Before there's any concept, there's no etzem, there's no gili, there's no blikvol, there's no concept of any reality. How's the shaykh to say this? So the which is a certain way of expressing a makar, that concept doesn't exist. The gabi etzem. So how's the shaykh to say that the is megalim? Versteht the meaning? But after can we say the mal is nishas? You say the mal, the is not only me'ein hamor, he's also me'ein. He's me'ein all in yanim shabatzmas, even yanim shabatzmas. So shlegabi them, the whole gedra gili doesn't exist. They also are expressed through it. So the Rebbe is not going into the Maimer. What's the beer? That the Rebbe said in the Maimer Zayin, that since in atzmas, the fact that he's a moir, and other in yanim, so and the is a reflection of the moir shabatzmas, and the moir shabatzmas is one with everything else. So whether we understand it or not, the contains within itself. The is expression of the aspect of atzmas as a moir. That's not detached from the other inyanim and atzmos. So lepoil in er you also have the fact that he's a moir and the fact that he's a beira, all other inyanim.
Are these other than tiffer?
The Rebbe says they're higher. The Rebbe says mefurish that they're higher inyanim. Moir is a certain inyan which is a yachas already to mitzvah shem b'chutz. The Rebbe says beira is a higher inyan. The Rebbe brings mefurish.
So then you say that tiffer they're all that from one union because we have the
It's not chavard. What I'm saying is, you can say so that's a different shayk. You can say that atzmos moir is a certain inyan. Let's say an inyan of blikvo. So you say atzmos is too high for that. He doesn't. Atzmos is meisa hakol. So he's much greater than the musig of moir. So I mean he doesn't contain the quality of moir. That we don't say that. We say that atzmos is meisa hakol. He contains everything. Also, even though he's beyond any tzir, but he also contains the musig of moir. That means he contains this as a concept of makir and a davar and a zgalim in a makir. He contains that inyan too. It's not shaylo that there's inyanim which are beyond the concept of moir. The musig of beira, which is the fact that he's beyond any concept. That's what beira expresses. That's also expressed through. That's also atzmos is neisa hakol. You see, even in beira is not going to define what he is. The Rebbe says in the Maimir earlier, the Eibishter has ein sof inyanim. So the Rebbe gave the beer in the Maimir before. But here the Rebbe is just saying, what are you saying? A chisaron and er. That er only means megal the makar, which relates to er. Is the chnishtazeh. Er is the chmein kolin anu shabatzos. So commission's bar. The beer is because moir is chad. The Rebbe we're never going to say that er comes from atzmos. That's not what it is. We're saying er is min amor. Because er is this galus al makar, so it's the makar the way it's mizgal. Mitzad the fact that the moir shabatzos is miyuchah, so it has everything. It's not chavar. But akaponim er is min amor. So what the Rebbe says here is commission's bar leilai Mekayach Haisavos. Sheyeshni ba'er lahavas yeshmayim ve'eves hamuchel. We should make a hefsek, or we should just continue, because we're bekamas for less people. What should we do? Huh? כן, סליחה, יש כאן באמת שיעור. היום יש פחות בחורים, אבל זה להשמיד שיעור.
יש הקלטה.
לאלו שחסידים. כן. תשרי. תשרי זה... We have to be a little aggressive. Where are we holding up? Where the Chachas? The Mekayach Hasav Shesh Nebel, Havas Yishmayim Ve'eves Hamuchel. The Kayach Hasav Sumei Atzmos Davke. Means Atzmos Davke is beyond the concept of Moed. Atzmos just introduces him in order to create something, which is something which doesn't come as an extension of a makir. That's only an etzem which has which is not limited by any concept. He's not here based. There's no background that he has to suit, and therefore he doesn't have to create something that suits a background. So that's a higher inyan than Moir. Moir is a certain maila, a certain inyan. There's a makir, and there's the makir is an atzmis the inyan, and the makir is not mugbal to dafka in the way of etzem. It can be in a zgal. When you're saying atzmis is in the ilav sibish kadmal is a tifra inyan. There's him. He's not dependent on any concept before him. He's not bound. He's not connected to any concept. That's a deeper inyan than Moir. But that inyan is also nizgal. Kayach hasav sumei atzmos davke. Shemtzisim atzmos abulishim ilav sibish kadmal chaz v'shalom. L'chein hu levad kayach lechodol havas yishmayim ve'olishim ilav sibish kadmal. והקדשות. הרי יש גם כרך הסבא שאין זה מסדין המוער. So כי מסדין העצמוס ישנו בו, even, זה בתאי שזו, even כרך, which is not נביא מצד the aspect of moir, which עצמוס is nice. It's נביא מסדין העצמוס, but that's also something which the earth expresses. So מכל מקום, כרך עצמוס שבאר הוא בבחינס הלם. רק אין המוער ישנו בגידי בו, ואין העצמוס הוא בהלם. So the Rebbe is saying, look, Avada, the Keach HaEtzem is also, the Eir is expresses the Keach HaEtzem too. But that inyan is not Nizgal the Metzias Eir. Keach HaEtzem is, in other words, the Metzias of Eir is Gilui. And his inyan is Gilui, and he's Nevea Mitzad and Nekuda of Moir. Since Moir is one with other inyanim, so Mele there's also Etzem there. But in the Metzias Eir, Gitzach Shtareis Etzem.
Or still shakta, still was able to do a
The air contains within itself things which are higher than the gather of air. That's the Rebbe saying here. The air contains, air in Yani is Gili. That's what air is. Air is this Galus Amak. That's the Nukuda of air. L'mayla contains within itself inyanim which are beyond the concept of er. That's something else. But that's not inyanim which are nisgala within the property of the mitzias of er. Contains within itself beyond its being, let's say. Beyond its formal function. Its formal function is gilui. And it contains within itself a dveikus ta'atzmos which is beyond the getter of gilui. But the poil is not going to be. But the mitzias of the Rebbe wants to make the nekuda v'shashana is that the etzem is nisgala, that you have an inyan in mitzias which expresses the etzem. The mitzias of doesn't express atzmos. The fact that has a shaykhus to the keich atzmos that's beyond the mitzias of that's an inyan which is higher than geter mitzias. And mitzad the dveikus of lamur, there's none in which are beyond its mitzias. You see, usually the regular things that we know, inyan contains what shaykh that's mitzias. In we're saying the contains inyanim which are beyond its golidik geder, its golidik property.
Is there a beer house able to have that?
Yeah, the Rebbe is not the gate to shine at the mitzvah, but that's mitzad the dveikus shabeir. I don't know if it's getached over here, but another place in Chassidus that the dveikus of the air, the fact that in the air you have the other inyanim mitzad dveikus of lamur. Das darf man verstehen. I'm saying that's darf man verstehen, but what the Rebbe is bringing out here is that the keich atzmos shabeir v'chinas helim. It's not shaykhs to the mitzias of gilui. The mitzias of gilui, that's megala only the fact that atzmos is amor. And the fact that also is the fact that it's also the expression of atzmos, that's not nisgala within the And Moshe says that through the is a mutzah to bring this in into malchus, to bring this in into shame. But it doesn't. The mitzias of they say the mitzias of doesn't express the keich atzmos. The fact that has a shaykhus to keich atzmos is not expressed within the property of its mitzias.
Even the meaning of his house in her is also not seen in her.
That's not the word. It's through malchus. The is a mutzah being the keich atzmos and malchus. The poil the keich atzmos is gathered through the tnu of itself. Tnu of is gilui. And mitzad gilui there cannot be a sabbath because gilui is everything's behemshech to the mother. The fact that the mahus ha'er is related to the etzem which is beyond er, that's not misgala within the mitzias of itself. That's misgala with the fact that through the is mislabash and kalim, so the yichud of er and kalim bring out the nekud of keich sabbath. The tnu of er gufa, the tnu of gilui itself doesn't express the keich hatzmos within the mitzias ha'gilui. That's the nekud of exactly how it works with the keich hatzmos is in er and what's the pshat is done. That's touched. The Rebbe is not touching it here. Saying what's negeli in Ininu is the mitzias er is this galu somewhere. The tnu of gilui is doesn't express the fact that asas only gilui b'tzibishkat. The tnu of gilui expresses the fact that it is amor. Matakasha lepoil the gilui hatten sich andere inyan. Good, but it's not connected to the tnu of gilui, to the aspect of gilui shubet, to the tnu of gilui shubet. We're saying something else. Since the er is me'in kol inyan shabatzmos, the er contains also inyanim of helen, not only inyanim of gilui. It's not chazak. And through the er, the inyanim of helen are nisgalu. It's not Inyan. But the tnu of gilui itself is not a tnu of atzmos. Meher the Inyan b'chlolos. If in kloli. Good. Let me get a bit weiter. I'm saying we should dwell on this point. Let's get first the nekud that wants to bring into the Maimer, and then if so bleibt Zeit, can we noch reden nach Chabad Abdan. Oh, so here he says, Mash'ink in shame, mamshech is etzem begilui. Mash'ink in the nekud of shame, that shame is not just to say behelim. The keich asmus is in the helim the keifin, beyond expression. In shame is the etzem is nimshach begilui. Says that's an unbegoli the etzem. Sharei, what do we see in the marshal? When you call someone's name is ma'ir to the etzem. Name touches on the person's core. Now there's an nimshal. Oh, and here the Rebbe adds another point. So now the Rebbe is saying the mile of shame over air. Now in this maimer, the Rebbe says, what's taka the mile of shame? Here it's going to be oiskatash, this maimer more this prat. What's taka the word that shame expresses etzem deeper than air? Because what shame is that there's no inyan in the shame. The shame doesn't express anything, and there's nothing of teichana adam in the shame. I don't see any in the Yaakov or in the oasis of the shame. You can't. There's no expression of any teichen nafshi there. Seichel is midas. So that relates to the nefesh where it's beyond the teichen. The etzem is not a mitzias that's based on a certain on qualities. It's beyond the concept of qualities. There's him. without any additional taich. Him, the way is undefined by anything, not even defined by the concept of undefined. There's him, he himself. And that's what name is connected. The name is, it's me without explanation of with what does it mean. How does this name, there's nothing taken there. That relates to the etzem which is beyond expression, which is him himself. As the virtue of the fact that the Shem is Helam, it has no inyan begoli, there's no teichen which is expressed in Shem. Mitzad that, its whole mitzvah is mitzad the etzem. Its whole mitzvah is that there's him himself beyond expression, beyond the taich. Mitzad that you could affect the goof. If the nevesh has no definition at all, it's able to have an impact even on things that are detached from it, because it's not based on a certain mode. If the etzem is a certain mode of being, so you have to relate to that mode in order to be affected by it. But if we're dealing with an etzem which is beyond any mode, there's him, his mohos without any agdar at all, beyond the concept of definition of taich, and not only definition in the sense of tzir, any concept, any inyan of ili v'afla. So that's mitzvah that inyan. There's no agbala where it could be nimshach, and that inyan is expressed through shem. Say, why when you call a person's name? We're not why, but what's the vart when you call a person's name? You touch a score. That brings his alphas. When a person feigns, the gilei nefesh, his mailis and his teichen is bis almas, but he's still alive. But but the fact that he's alive is not expressed in any izgalus. The etzem chayim is still there, but there's no expression of the life. He's not moving. He's not thinking. There's no conscious expression of life. The etzem etzias is there, and the name is linked to that nekuda of etzem. Because the name also is there's no teichen in Shem. It's just his name. So what's the name? The name also is nevea mitzad etzem mehusa adam, which is beyond expression. There's the concept of life, the way it's beyond being able to be expressed in this feeling or that feeling. And that's what the name relates to. Yeah, bechitzenius name is just Asius, but the fact is it means bechitzenius has no inyan. But primis is nevea mitzad etzem, which is beyond the concept of inyan. So when you call a person's name, Meir is etzem. So here the Rebbe read, now that it was going into a Mailin Shem, which Kayach doesn't contain. Yeah, we learned the Maimer before, also in this Maimer, that Kayach is Mushish in the Etzem. We can think that's a certain Kayach is the fact that it never is able to have an effect on a Davar Shem Bachutz. From Varan Shtamtis, Chitzenius is the Inyan Namach Ma'id. You're able to throw a stone. You're able to affect a stone. There's no initiative. The L'chor is Inyan Chitzeni Ma'id. The Pnimius is Nevea Mitzad the Etzem HaNefesh. The fact that a person is able to be in a mode of not expressing himself at all, but just focused on a zulas, that's neveh mitzad etzem, which is not defined in being in his own little bubble. But the Rebbe says here there's a mile and shame over keach. The keach shadish is in the etzem, but the fact that it's shadish in the etzem is not meir begilui in keach. The shadish of keach is in the etzem, but it's not apparent. By shame, the fact that shame links to the etzem is an apparent thing. There's no other inyan in shame other than the fact that it touches the core of the person. It's his name. It's his personal name. Kayach, you could look at it as you could look at it as an external thing. He's throwing stones. Let's get rid of him. Because there's a certain tnua in Bechitzenius. Kayach contains within itself a certain element of gili, and mitzad that the etzem is not always the shadish of Kayach, but etzem is not always begili. That's Satan. I don't know if you're here. The Rebbe has in the Maimer, till the Maimer before there was speaking about and shame. There's Gili and there's Helen, and the Rebbe speaks about Keach. They're here, and the Rebbe also there. The Rebbe is makdim in the Maimer of Zayin. Order to understand. He starts off to explain the Mile of Keach. In order to explain the Mile of Keach, he's makdim the Indian of shame. Why is he makdim the Nikud of shame? So here the Rebbe is adding that there is Prati says there's shame, which is Helen betachlis. Then there's a mamutza between and shame. That are being said this Eres Slapshim Bekalim. Eres Slapshim Bekalim is on one hand, it's not the Izgalus Etzim Kameshu. It's the way the Etzim is, the way a Metzias could be a Keli to the Nefesh. So Alderas and Shame, that brings two dargis. There's Shame and there's Kayach. Okay, let's see the way it is here. Ich will nicht bringen die Jana from Sunday night. It's a bisschen Lavabos, Amol. But bis ist das gehabt, was man lernt. You're saying half.
General. Yeah.
Everything's general.
No. Everything's half.
Why?
Just to do more chazara, I don't know.
Okay. You think everything in life is half.
Not so much wisdom.
That's the chazan. What's the question? That's chazan. It's tied in Yanam. That's chazan. You have to process the inyan. You have to work them out. Yeah, okay. The hast anders? Gut, wenn wir sehen, was da steht. Oh, so there you see, this is see what there says. Should say Ishmael b'shem gam al keach. Af shegam keach ubchinas helem kanal. Even though keach is also helem, so if the fact that helem, we're dealing with a mile in helem, where the nevesh is begolei, that expresses him the way shayach the gilu. Mashenkin, an Indian which begolei has no Indian, where you can't recognize him through that. So that expresses the etzem which is beyond the concept of gilu. So he says even though keach is helem and be'etzem keach is takamushish in the etzem, but there's a mile in shame over keach. Why? He says. I just want to skip a few lines just to bring what the Rebbe wants to bring out here is, he says, the keach and a late tamid yesh b'zeh gilu etzem. Mashek and shame always relates to the etzem. Think in the mashal. Person's name is never, you can never look at a name and say that that's just, it's his name. And the name always is, you call a person's name, nifra l'keri b'atzmoseh. Mashek and keach is not always, I say, it doesn't always reflect the etzem hanefesh. Tell the Rebbe Azay. Yeah, this is really a little bit of a side point in the Hamshech HaMaimer, but we'll. I thought we'll try to. Okay, maybe we'll finish Maimer today. Okay, let's go. Oh, so the Rebbe says like this. What's the reason? He says keach and nefesh. The Rebbe speaks keach b'chal. Keach and nefesh b'chinas tikunim. Masha nefesh b'tekanef is galus tzasayim. Keach and nefesh, even though they're not in yanim of now we're looking at the keach not as an Indian of as a mitzias. There's chachme, there's seichel, midis. Seichel is a metzias. It's not the nefesh. It's the nefesh, the way the nefesh contains certain, qualities. Any of seichel, so it's a keach. But dugmas the keach atnu is a keach. It's not, gili is, there's no, you say, a good dugma for gili is ratzin. Ratzin, it's not a keach which the nefesh possesses. Ratzin is the meshichas nefesh. There's a person I want. I am drawn towards something. Ratzin is not a keach in the nefesh. It's the klolus ha'adam is drawn towards something. And there's there's no mitzias of which this mitzias reflects me. The only code of is that there's a makar, and this makar being nisgalib, this makar being says that's the makar kvishu is being nisgalib, that's gilu. So there's nothing here besides for the etzem being nisgalib. Mash'ek in keiches, you're going to say seichel is a mitzias. Seichel is not the say transparent to the nefesh, this galas nefesh. Seichel is a mitzias. But Afa became, even though Seichel is a mitzias, but it's a mitzias, it's a stamasei mitzias, detached of him, or it's the way he expresses himself through the medium of a mitzias. Seichel is chachma taka, but l'poel through chachma, you can have a certain akar in the mailas adam. What type of svaras a person's bechadish, you could have a hakara in the mile of this person. He's a shmaskel or whatever it is. So the Rebbe brings here. That's the Rebbe brings here. Keiches are tikun. Even though keiches are a mitzias taka, they're not together of but they're masha nevesh mistakenes mizgalis ktsas al yodam. It's not. It's taka the nevesh where the nevesh. You say a person looks at the world and you say Shemayim misafrim kaved kil. Marav masach Hashem. You say a person you see godless habayra when he looks at the ribin Ephraim, which he says. Does that express Gadol Saber Kfishu Be'etzem? Are you going to call that You're seeing his greatness the way it's in his Gadol through this activity that he did. That's not is this Gadol Saber Kfishu, which is Ein Sof, and the expression of Ein Sof the way he is. Here you're seeing a certain angle of it. You're seeing the way it's expressed through this and this reality. But it's a Gedder of Gilui. Chachma is not this Gadol Saber Kfishu, but it's the way the Nevesh is expressed through the concept of Chachma. You'll say you have the Gadlus Ha'etzem and you have the Gdula V'Lakus, the way it's expressed through a Prat is the Indian. So it's the Indian Prat, but it's the way his Gadlus is expressed through an Indian Prat. You're not going to say that, so Mele, it's not Behelim B'Tachlis. It's not, there's a little Gilui. So the same way we speak about Keches HaNefesh, there's a Gedder of Gilui because it expresses him somehow. Al Derez I'm going to get to Keich HaMaisel also. It says, Ukumei Keich HaChacham Keich HaMaisel. Shemezeh Yedim M'Chacham V'Gibrim Lav. You see, a person throws a stone. So the Rebbe says before, throwing a stone is the nefesh is not. There's no bitei nafshi. A stone is flying. See, but Ava became that expresses a certain quality in the nefesh that is able to throw stones, that is able to do things that are is able to do ma'aseh gvura. It's in a chitzeni, let's say. See, seichel is a much more brings a malas adam much more than keich hasik. But the poil, There's a person, the fact that he's a giver, that is able to do things hepechatev. He has the yechelis lachadish. But pnimius, a man stand is that he could be throwing a stone, is never mitzad etzem, that is able to affect a technical metzias of a stone. But bechitzeni is, it's not naked that there's no Indian here outside of the etzem. Bechitzeni is, the way it seems bechitzeni is that keach hazrik is an Indian. What's the Indian? The person showing his ability to throw stone, to do a ma'isa. Huh? Verstehe, but I'm not saying it's a gilui of the mohus hanefesh. You say, not my feelings are expressed through throwing. But is there a ma'ila that's be able to throw a stone? You're doing a kunst, you're doing something hepechateva. And you're showing that the person has the kaya to do things, to be mechadish stuff. The fact you can be mechadish. Epis brings out not that brings out the gabi in his mohus, in his character. But there's an element of gilui. You don't say that there's nothing besides that. Begilui, there's some type of Indian which is this gali here. What type of Indian? There is mechadish. Mechadish, it's not something in his mahus, but it brings out that he has the ability to affect change. So begilui, it's not bashem. There is no Indian outside of the fact. It's just letters, just Asis Hashem. There's no expression at all. So that there's no other Indian outside of this gal says. Mashikin kayach bechitzenius contains within itself a certain structure, a certain mode.
Even though the shirish for how correct it would be
pnimis, but it's not begilui. The Rebbe is not saying that the shirish of keach is not an etzem. The Rebbe is saying that begilui, shame as a mile over keach, that in shame, there's no other Indian outside of the fact that it relates to the etzem. And that's a begilui, there's no Indian in shame. Bechitzenis, if you want to look at, there is zero quality in shame. That you could say that this is its Indian. Keach hazrika, you could say, what's the quality of keach hazrika? It's a reflection of the etzem. Say keach hazrika, we're not going to look at it from the point of view of the etzem. Keach hazrika is that a person's living in a world, he has the ability to be mechadish chedushim, to do things hebechateva, to throw a stone. He could show his mightiness in throwing a stone. Look at the Rebbe says it. Bekoyach and he late Tommy Desh was a gilui etzem. Va'adrab bereva pam einim is gal bekoyach b'chinas etzem. I'm saying is koyach is a certain tnua b'chitzenis. He's saying Chassidus says the mashal that dibur is mushish in the etzem. The fact that a person is able to communicate with a zulas is mitzad the etzem, because mitzad the lower dargish of the nefesh. So how could he deliver his regish to someone else? But b'chitzenis, when you see someone speaking, what do you see over there? You see an ability of communication. You see in chitzeni, there's no concept here. There's no content here. You see that he's having an effect on someone else. B'pnimis, you understand the nature of the nefesh, and then you can ask the question: Vi kumtes that he's a whole koyach which kol inyani is to affect the zulas. That's neveh mitzad etzem. But begili looks at there's a koyach chitzeni. There's a person is living in a world where there's people around them, and he affects people around them. It's not nikr that the keach is in order to see that the whole get that the sheirish and the keach, which is an etzem, it has to be meir first. How mitzad the nefesh itself, there's no nisin asmakim for zulas. Only after that, when you're under the light that mitzad the nefesh is no nisin asmakim for zulas, only within that context, so vi kumt as a gather of keach. But if you look at it just b'chitzenius, the person is living in a world is able to affect the stone. So there's a certain Indian begilu. So the Rebbe says here, but you have. This is an interesting thing that the Rebbe says here. It's interessante Sache. B'neshamas Yisrael ksiv vayiva ba'abav nishmas chayim. The Rebbe says like this. In a certain mode, koyach always. What's the svara that koyach should be? It's the tnu of koyach we're speaking of here. Now, the tnu of koyach is a name relates to this. The tnu of koyach also relates to that. But there's the pnimius and there's begoli. Where does the tnu of koyach relate to that? I'm saying it's at the tnu of koyach itself. I'm saying all the time that koyach is, we're saying koyach apayel, it's not that, what's the gather of koyach? Hamshach of derech hamele means, mitzad the alien, the result is kach v'kach. It's not I'm affecting it. You can think that's I'm a certain. A mensch versteht that a person understands that a certain thing is good. The automatic outcome is going to be he's going to have a feeling towards it. He's going to have a midas haba. The seichel has to affect the midas haba. The seichel has to be mahava the midas haba. The seichel is always never leaves elam haseichel. When you understand something is good, the automatic result is going to be there. You're going to like it. That's an automatic result. It's not that you understand that it's good and then you come and you initiate a midah. That's the result. That's called the derech hamela. Mitzad the elyon, the result is kach v'kach. Koyach is not the pshat mitzad koyach hayad, stones fly. The yad could make a stone fly. It's never the mitzad. What I'm saying is there's certain things mitzad this sazam is third zach, which as a result of this something happens. Koyach is never that it's such a thing which mitzad this thing things happen. It has the koyach to make things, but not that something exists earlier. It's not that koyach is something that exists already. He is just being materialized. He's affecting something. So one of the truths that's in is that koyach needs a status. You have to do it. It's not going to happen by itself. The makar has to go and do it. But what does it mean? What's the truth of doing it? Truth of doing it means that you're not limited on what exists. You're able to do stuff. You say, I'm doing it means it doesn't exist. I'm not working with things which already exist. I'm the one initiating it. That's mitzvah, the fact that the Nevesh is not limited in a certain form of it has its gedarim, what it is, and what it contains. He's able to do stuff. He's able to make things. The tnu of being mishtadel, that links it to the etzem. But the Rebbe says here, not every koyach expresses the etzem. The Rebbe says in Tanya that neshamas Yisrael are mushish from pnimius. Vayibab apov, man de nofach mitoichi nofach. Techiyus pnimius. And the Rebbe says, sheteichiyus pnimius achayis sheba adam, maitzi b'nifichasi b'koyach. What's that Rebbe meisif? Maitzi b'nifichasi b'koyach. The Rebbe is saying here, the tnu of koyach is what's the Chassidus brings a dogma that if a person you say do something with koyach, when a person, let's say you have a shalheves, you say you have a little flame, you want to make it bigger, so you have to blow it. After shabbos nazay shver, you have a little shalheves. If you want to make it more of a lav or more heat, you have to be nefeach b'mapuach. You have to blow it. But if you have an even tzurach halamish, and you want to bring out the fire that exists within tzurach halamish, you can't just blow it. Nothing's going to happen. You have to. It's a ganze shtadlus. You have to be misegeya. You have to ganze zach. You maken shteavanim a ganze seder aved. Why is it? Something that exists, you don't have to initiate it. It exists. You just have to bring it out. It's something you have to initiate it. The koyach ha'esh, the way it is in the Evan, is not a mitziastic thing. The potential is a very edle inyan. In order to make it a tangible fire, it's the dugmas. You're creating something, which you're creating something new. To create something new, you need to have koyach. What's his koyach? It's not something which exists. You say someone, you have the power to push a table. So then you don't have to use koyach. You have the power. You have to bring it out. That's not called koyach. Koyach, what I mean over here is you have to create something new, something which doesn't exist. The koyach ha'esh, the way it is in the tzurach halamish, is a non-existent legabi tangible fire. You have to take from untangible fire, tangible fire. That's aveda yigiyek dela. That's uftan anais. That's much so. When Al Rebbe says that Adar is in what's the Al Rebbe bring that the teichis when shechai shval meisi bin fechasi b'koyach. Koyach, you say koyach nemtar is the retzim. Why is koyach nemtar is the retzim? Because the neshama is moshesh and atzmus. Atzmus is beyond the whole gather of mitzias, and you have to from atzmus on nimshach and mitzias from neshamas. So you're being mamshech from somewhere which is beyond mitzias into mitzias. That's through koyach. That is uftan, and it's a chiddush that you're doing it. You're not only using things mitzias which already exist. That's uftan and ayazah. So the concept of koyach is uftan and ayazah, which that relates to the etzem, which is not limited in a certain form. He's not mugdil. Ken uftan and ayazah. But Al Darasni says Zrikas Evan also is the Nakud of Koyach. But the Koyach of Zrikas is also to Stefan Isaac. But there is not expressed the Etzem. By what we're dealing with in Sham is was besteht die Yigia? To take from Etzem, from Atzmos, from them Zalverna and Sham. From the built Mitzias into Mitzias. That third Koyach, it's nigger that the Koyach is Nevea mitzvah the fact that it's the Etzem the one affecting such a thing. Mashiach and Zrikas Evan, you have the same tune of Koyach, but you can look at it and say that you're not from a stone being placed, the stone is flying. You're doing a big thing. It's not nicker begili that this koyach is a hatzatamit netza. That is the mechalike. That is the mashtet in the Vedic. Shkevish neshamas Yisrael the Sabbath in the Vrayim. Neshamas Yisrael ksevi ba'ibak ba'apav nishmas chayim yisi v'tanu shuam shach metechiyus u'meisif u'mipnimiyus. And the Alter Rebbe says drika odem anefeach b'koyach. So this koyach zeh, where there's a certain nikud of ishtadus. What's the word of ishtadus? What's the word of igiyah? Because you're tutuf absanai yazach. In this koyach, and this nai yazach which are tutuf, it's nicker that it's amshach mitzad etzem. It's the etzem being mamshach l'neshama. Why? Not mitzad the etzem vart of chiddush l'poil. If it would be mitzad the etzem vart of chiddush, then even every koyach would have expressed the etzem. Here's because what type of chiddush? Because you're being mamshach the etzem to gilu. Koyach zeh mit chisim pnimiyusim. Shav shishram shavas atzmas. V'shekin havas in Avram, af shegam es havas shalahem b'chinas koyach. Also, this havas in Avram is a gather of koyach. Is mechadish yesh ma'ayin. But there, when Kushkat is Shishram starts with kechacha agadol. Mikom mekem begilui. What's the nigga? The koyach is from ayin zover nayesh, not from the built mitzias of atzmas to mitzias. Means begilui, the koyach. Not every tnu of koyach you see begilui that is nevei mitzadetz, even though the shesh koyach b'chlal is an atzmas.
Isn't Dibber not Yigiyah?
Huh?
Isn't Dibber like Yigiyah?
Beli?
Yigiyah, it's not Yigiyah. It's not a...
Yeah, but the dogma is that it's in chitzeni. So the koyach of Esavas and Neshamas, you see, legt sich herein in them. Mashiach, the koyach of throwing a stone, it's getting mishtadus, but b'chitzeni it doesn't. The etzem is dish mishtadel. Person throws a stone.
So we're talking about Gila?
Yeah, we're saying the begili the koyach doesn't begili bring out the etzem. Shame begili brings out the etzem.
Isn't the Gila also for Sarah?
Does doctor? This is the Rebbe saying.
Even the Gila by Mishicha.
No. The Nefich that's nikar begoli that the koyach is mitzad the atzmas is being nimshach in mitzvahs of the neshamas.
Weren't we saying that the fact that it's only Gila and Indian prati is that's also the chesron of koyach over shame? That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying.
The Rebbe saying we're saying that koyach bechitzeni is not always nikar that it's shadish in the etzem. Why? What's the word? Because koyach you can explain it bechitzeni. You see what's koyach? You don't have to always relate it. Big goli, you don't have to relate it to that. You look at koyach, it's a power to throw a stone. It's in a chitzeni type.
Let's say
it's an Indian.
By koyach where it's clear it's related to that. Is there a mile in the shame of that koyach?
By the ficha b'koyach.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a different beer, not mitzad the gather of hell. The fact that koyach by neshamis that koyach is nikra, it's a different beer, not mitzad the mile of hell. That's because koyach, the whole gather of the koyach over there is to be mamshach from the lamalim mitzias into mitzias. I'm saying it's ruling the whole time. The word of koyach is helen, hefsek. But I'm saying this even before. The word is not just helen. With what is the etzem expressed through koyach? It's at the word of chiddush, hefsek. Hefsek means you're doing something new. That's the same concept of Esavas and Neshamas. The Neshamas are mushish. You say, there is the dogma of tzurach halamish. What's the word you need to have koyach there? If the fire exists, you just have to bring it out. You don't have to initiate something new. When you say the koyach ha'esh, what have to work so hard to bring out the fire which exists in the what's it called, the flintstone? What's the name? Flint. So why do you have to work so hard? Because the fire, the way it's in the oven, is beyond. It's a different gather of a fire. It's a koyach ha'esh. It's not a tangible fire. To make from a koyach ha'esh eish mamash is a chiddush. A chiddush davon is ufton. Davon sich hereinlegen in them. See what's this Havas and Neshamas? Havas and Neshamas is that hamshach from etzem. From etzem is the learn on neshama. From atzman should be a metzias of a neshama. Or you're saying meficha b'koyach. From the person's own pnimiistic life, which is beyond gilui, from that should become a hevel on a ficha. So that's mdafis mishtadel sein. Mdafis hereinlegen in them. There's a nekud of koyach. He has to do it. It's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. He has to do it. But it's nikar because that he is etzem. Because what type of chiddush is etzach? To be mamshach from the l'mayla b'mitzias into mitzias. So that's nikar. That what's the he which is initiating this uftu? It's the etzem. Mash'enkin the chiddush of yesh ma'ayin. It's also a chiddush and it has to be made, and he's doing it. But it's not nikar that it's in a chitzeni. He's able to make this. The ability to be able to make yesh ma'ayin doesn't express his heder agdar, the heder agdar of the etzem. It's avada he has to do it. It's not going to happen by itself. It's not going to happen. He has to do it. But that he is not the he of etzem. It's an inner chitzeni. He can affect stones. The Rebbe says there is a nekud of koyach where he's doing it and it's thinking that it's his etzem. That's when you're being mamshach from etzem to neshama. But you have a inner of koyach which you also have to do it. It's not going to happen by itself. But the one doing it, it's a herzach in them that it's the etzem which is being expressed. If a person can't speak with you have to go and talk. But that doesn't mean that my etzem liegt in. I'm investing my whole self in this. Which has to happen. Means it has to be done, but it's not nicker in the done that it's neveh mitzad etzem.
The reason that etzem is not shaykh to gilui, it's not totally hiding. It's how to shaykh from the fiqh of the gilui.
Because the neshama is not a gather of gilui. It's the etzem being in the neshama, and it's not a gather of gilui. Neshama is a different inyan. It's not in of air. Neshama, the Eibush HaZcharayin collect this. Bedugmas in the heilada. The ben is not the gizgalus av. It's the from the etzem ha'av verta ben. However way that works. From the etzem mahus ha'av verta tzveitim mitzias. So from the atzmis of elikus verta neshama. It's not a gather of gilui. It's a different inyan legamri. That's not again. The inyan is that you have a tnu of kayach of him doing it, which is nikar begili that this him is his etzem. That's the negate in the shamas. The neficha bekayach is like tzcharayin. You have an akud of zikr 70. Also has to be. It's not going to happen. It has to be affected. It has to be made. But in that made, it's his chizenius, not his primis, not his etzem.
So this inyan by neshama, what is it? It's not a gilui.
The neshama is not a gilui etzem. Neshama is in they possess etzem. It's a different inyan. Their mahus is etzem.
I think the mile of the fiqh over the Sabbath is.
So I don't know so much. Nothing to do with gilui. What are you saying? Not the gather of air.
We said that.
And now in that neficha, it's nikar begili that it's inside the etzem.
So nikar begili doesn't mean gilui.
No, not the gather of gili that it musik of expression in the sense that it comes in a tfisa, not gili in the sense of is that it's this gal in the mode of gili. Here in this pu'ula, it's neveh mitzad etzem. It's not. See, as a person's, let's say someone's is a certain inyan of tfisa, the milus of elikus, the greatness of elikus, and that greatness expresses him. Here we're saying there's a pu'ula which if you see this pu'ula, it's clear that it's neveh mitzad darga, which is beyond tfisa, which is beyond its galus. Das allein zetzach begali. So zetzach begali, huh?
So just this one says it's not.
Yeah, this galus of the etzem, not this galus of inyan of gili. His galus of the etzem which is beyond gili. Yeah, let me resume. Mashenkin Hashem Mamshech Tom this etzem begid the Malas and Hashem Yisavos the Terabin Kriya Shem is Shem always relates to the inyan the way it is betzem. See Shem even the Rebbe Zinger when you get to Shem Chacham Shem Chazdan to see what it says there in the Yisavos of Terabin. Even speak of Shem Chacham Shem Chazdan Shadezem Eirim Skerchim Helam Lagili. Shem of an inyan always relates to the nekuda atzmis of the inyan. Yeah, it says even we say Chacham Chazdan. Zot Hashem Sim Shishib Chos Rashbi v'chulu. למה הוא צריך לשאפ? לשדזם ערם סקר שווה בגידיק. כבר ראית בזה שאיננה קריאה שם מסתמד, אין להם קריאה של למטה. מה אתה גם קדם קריאה שלנו קריאה בהלם? זה הקריאה המשך בעצם רק מהלם לגילי. שאין כן למיילו, אין קדם הקריאה יש להם ספירס כלל. גם במכין הסלם שלי במציאות. זה הקריאה חדש קדם במציאות הספירס. שאין השם ערם גם מכין של מיילו במכין הסלם שלי במציאות. זה כדס פרטים. את למיילו, the shame is מעיר the helm של מיילו במכין הסמציאות. Das darf echt wahr sein. This is all Arichas Chassidus about this. That lamailo through Kriya Shem is Vertnis have the Metzias as Firis. Yeah, this is interesting. Before the Rebbe brought, before we Begoli. Yeah, but the Rebbe is not discussing. The Rebbe is saying that shame, the name of an Indian, Hotzatom at the Etzem for the Zach, always. Because he turns okay, there we saw that there's alphas and these things. I don't know if this Indian is.
The person by calling it by that name. And he gets a title of what the person possesses, a certain midah that he has.
Yeah, but they're saying that and this title is going to relate to the helm of the keach, higher than the gilei keach. Chesed, the way it is behelim, is nizgala through being carried b'shem chacham, b'shem chesed.
We're calling him b'shem chesed because he has a midah chesed, not because that's what he has bad.
Verstehe. But they're saying that the chlal, shemis, names of something, relate deeper to the Indian than the gilei of the Indian. Not the Gabi, the person b'chlal. You have midas hachesed. There's this galus hachesed. You have the etzem keach hachesed. The etzem keach hachesed with the name chesed, the shame.
So the shame chesed and whatever he gave, the dogma we gave over here doesn't necessarily bring out the etzem. The whole point is trying to explain the mile of shame.
No. The Gabi, the etzem adam, no. The Gabi, this in. So klar, wo halt man der Welt? I don't want to lose more. I'm saying. Good. We have to go. No, I'm saying. Can we use chashiv with the Ali Inyan? That was a much of a Rosh Hashanah. But midas aisis. So dugmas Hashem. Oh, that's a Rosh Hashanah. Is dafke AC is amiras tehillim, which is dugmas Hashem, that there's no tnu of gilui. Men zok tehillim. There's no tnu of gilui. Why? Because Rosh Hashanah המשך מבחינת musa atzmis. You listen to the Rebbe's, listen to the Lashanis over here. מבחינת musa atzmis bo begili ad lamata mata v'zeu mashim. This we spoke about the two inyanim. Mitzad rei musa atzim, the gili has there's no definition where the izgalas alakus could be dimshach. So that's the first thing. Mitzvah yem b'shefer. What's the yichas mitzvah yem b'shefer? The shefer is a ma'aser. Shalomata gam emiras eis shu dibur. They were saying the dargers of Kayach. There's shame, there's Kayach. So al within this context, there's Amiras Eisius, there's a Maisa. A Maisa is in even a lower degree of Helam than Amiras Eisius. Amiras Eisius do contain Amiras Tilim as Yepsia Indian. A Yid Lapel saying the Eisius Dacious for the Eberster, saying Dafka something which Minam Adaber could express. It's a Maisa Ba'am, even the Gemara says even a Behemoth could blow. So Remus has to begin at Madashum is Barlil Barichis. The Yesh going to them from the Sams Begili, which Emir Vahaifa, in Nagili, Lechin, Gamla. So this is the beer, the Lechin, Gamla Mato, Kocham Achadam Kech. The Inina, Mitzad Lekos, Elemis are Pirut, are Ribui. Elemis are there's a Schalkus. One of the basic definitions of Lekus, Elemis is Lekus is Echad. It's Ein Emes, Ein Akudah. But there's no division, there's no parts. There's one Akudas Achdus. The Elemis are called Gidram is Chalkus. Each nivra itself is Mischalik. So one of the expressions that the Etzem is Meir, that Alakus is Meir, is that everything, it's Nirgash, it's all one Nekuda. There's no division. Everything stems from the same point. The Nekuda Sa'etzem, which is beyond any definition, and beyond division and Ischalkas, beyond measures, beyond Siyurim, and that same Etzem is expressed equally through everyone. And everyone equally relates to them. So since we're dealing with this Galas Etzem Lamata Mata, so the Achadim Ke'echad is not the Tacht in the ways in the mode of Bittul. The way the Rashechem are Netzir Rashechem, and there's Chet Vitzecha. And there is this Galas Etzem. It's the same Etzem in Rashechem as Echat in Shei V'Mechad. The same etzem, and b'meila there's lachadim kech. Av sheyesh kan eser sugam neshechem shev mecha. Mikom kem esatim kulam yachad. Why? Because the whole Rosh Hashanah is the nishach neshem is az v'gilei adam atamat, and it's not two separate inyanim. Because mitzad matan Torah, which is cannot be poiled at the esgalas al kusha bila matamat. Because if is gilei, the way it relates to the makar is by the fact that it relates to the makar. So mata which does not relate to the makar is hotem nisht. Mashik in the etzem is another inyan. Schon המשך בכלל זה מצד סגילה המתמטיקה, גם כמו שהם מצד עצמם בישחלקוס. שייכים שבמך, שגם הם, even עניינים which are not כלים תאחדוס, עניינים which are מצד גדרם פירוט, עניינים which are הלם, they're מצד their ציור, they're outside of a look, detached from a look. גם הם מסאחתם מצד עצמם המרבל. בזה איך לייך לנצ. כמו כן גם בעבודה, ששווה שאני יעזוז עשה עצמם. שכוס אמרו אחד בשושנה ישני נחתור וישתחבו. Torah who should makabel ule lekol ha'sheitzaven. It's a bittul to the rotz. Shezeh she'el chinas rotz. It means all the ishtachav achtorah is the bittul to the melech, the way it relates somewhat to the am, to the gather of gilui. Achtorah relates to the musik of gilui. Shekin ishtachavo bittul atzmi lebal rotz. Yeah, we spoke about this. No. Bittul atzmi zeshem says that's man neshama. Meir gam be'eser keches hagluim. Shechem shevim mecha. The uftur shana is it's meir and all kech. Leir keches mishim kulum ba'nefesh. Not where the keches are in a mode of bittul. In a mode of aliyah to the nefesh, the way they are in their tzir, seichel dorten, b'chinas eschalkos, gam heim chdurim zay durgin mittel asim so etzem anasham shlachin, gam heim esatim liis lachadam keich. You'll see some aces in this part. Is a little aces of Hezber, a little bit. I'm not going to remind you the question. We're going to get the mind. We'll just learn the beer. What's pshat mamakim? Mamakim is etzem. Reimus atzmis. Amika de kula, amika de beira, amika de kol amika. Eika losh and ikra de koliktion. So here's the problem. Even though we're dealing with Aveda, says Mitzvah is. On one hand, what's the Aveda? We're dealing with pratim. L'sakin or lahamshach eser sfiris v'eser keches. So in Kabbalah it says that's being mamshech the essence finish shalamayla. And aveda b'nefesh ha'adam is being misaken everything that he was missing in his 10 keiches. It's Kabbalah Rosh Hashanah within this respect. Rosh Hashanah is Kabbalah Sil, the etzim kesher to the Eibishter, and then you have to be misaken and be mashlim all the Esher keiches in the 10 days of tshuva. Seres mitzvah. The uftu in them is mikol mekim nimshach beim chinas. The uftu of seres mitzvah is behemshach Rosh Hashanah. Because Rosh Hashanah is nicht der etzim, der etzim steht ba'atzmusay. The etzim is not shomer begili. We're shomer begili in all keiches. Behemshach Rosh Hashanah comes. Rosh Hashanah is gal etzim. Then to be mamshach this gili bepratius in all keiches, that's the seres mitzvah. So it's mimamakim to be mamshach in keiches. Shigam by Schak, we cannot be not in itself. Shigam by Schak, because the Sheikh Meir is chem khukhnes kulam. Shigam a keiches primim chadurim, zayne dur genommen bei essen beginnes mamaka, miked kol, miked mamaka, was shram mikle. Oh, so you listen to the betaches here. Here's the betaches that ba etzem. What's beginnes mamaka? Beginnes mamaka, which is a miked kol mikin. That's the etzem. The betaches. That's the pshat. It's mamaka was shram. Emek ve emek le emek. What's mean this? Khulin moving pirish emek ve emek le emek. Ma'achar sheyesh emek nali yes, are emek rishon ni emek. See. The depth of everything, or the ultimate source, the emek von alles. What's the lashon haba? If the tzveiter is stiffer, so the gabi the Indian omek, the lower Indian is not omek. It's more shaychas the gili. It's on the surface. Emek means what's beyond mitzvahs, what's beyond tfisa. So if the gabi the darga the chitzenius, the gabi the primis, the chitzenius is not tfisa at all. Is emek means it's the Indian which is apparent. It's on the surface. So what's just the same? I think the pshat of here from Makam Lashon Abim is Achininu Pchinas Emek LaEmek Kol Amayla Megeder Emek Erich V'Lechav. Liesh Elon Shem Acher on the Koinem Esem Shem Emek LaEmek. But Emes Lamal Megeder Emek. You say Emek means it's not deeper. It's beyond the whole concept of depth. There's mitzias, there's pshitis, there's hederat. There's hederat there's pshitas, and there's what do you want to bring out? There's something which is beyond any concept at all. Not beyond because it's more broader. It's not defined at all in anything. But again, it's pshitas. It's emek. It's beyond emek. That's what you say. Whatever you're going to say depth, this is beyond that. Not in the sense of beyond that tifreini. If that tifreini, that's like kasha. So the inyan chitzeni is not. So why you calling the inyan chitzeni emek? This is not the inyan chitzeni is emek. Tachlas emek. This is beyond the whole caliber of emek. Hecher from the ganze inyan from sir b'teir. That's mimamakim. But you hear the touch. That's what shame. Shame is it's higher than the gather of saying emek, of pshitas or bittul. It's the etzim k'meishu hu b'atzmusi. Hu b'chinas rei musa atzmus. Zeh agam k'mash kazu she'amal stam v'li she'amal aslu David. David ha'yi melech Yisrael. V'omer ham izmeir mishim kol Yisrael. M'kom k'yesh b'zeh yischalkus. Yesh n'b'chinas shu b'shich v'mayla v'yesh k'meishu l'matim izeh. Lo hishfi. Why is there dargis? Because ein b'zeh b'chinas ha'etzim. Mele shaykhs the tzir. Shaykhs the tzir. There's a higher Indian, there's a lower Indian. Who em is b'chinas etzem. Agam shel b'chol divid rash tichshu aved b'shleimus. Shleimus rak shleimus da kechs. Shira mal stam shu b'chol am chol dorei am sham shachol mat mat kol echad ech. Dugmas in nashem shel mat gam ikaya. Khni bezeh dafka mamshich b'chinas etzem. V'amshach zui d'chol boy chol dorei am. Dugmas amshach etzem ma kechs k'mishboyim begilu. In zem rumes gam sid sharat kis. Dorten sagt in der Alter says in the Siddur, shein in Tkiya Shefer, who Hamshach says. Etzem HaChochme, Etzem HaMidas, Etzem HaChochme. Chur, Arei Chochme HaMidas im Keches Prati. Mao Emri, Etzem HaChochme, Etzem HaMidas. They're in Prati. So the Rebbe teaches Etzem HaVei, he means Etzem HaChochme, that you're Mamshach the Etzem in Chochme. Achinin Shem Ramaz, Shaved Rishon, Shekam HaKeres HaGluim, Yechadun, so as the Turkin of Etzem. Because since the Etzem, they have it, so the Bitl Atzem. Shem says that's manasham. Haner geshes gam keiches agluim shalei ad keiches yiser tachten. Nasekin gam lemaylo shnim shem k'nesreim was ha'atzmes begile ad lamatamata. Shebisen nishlam hakavana dira leis bar b'tachtem. The Adam in Kasiyit nocham. Or they wants the rest to do a little chazara. Or
You said that you'll speak about another problem.
which prat? Which prat?
I think you were speaking. I was going to get to.
Sabbath.
Yeah.
But you learned the Maimarim in I'm saying it's really. It's in Yad I've discussed the Maimarim before. You're saying what's the pshat that it's behelim in What's the question? If it's behelim, the is gilui. So the truth is that L'mayla is gilui. So if it's not gilui, then it's not an What's the pshat that it's an The Keichai Sabbath, the Rebbe says the it's nimshach in the but it's not nimshach gilui. So if it's not gilui, is gilui. If it's not gilui, so it's not an Doesn't that shaila, no?
Yeah, but it's never that the ors never have the ors puts it in the koyach and mal.
There's different shaynis and chassidus about that. You're asking what's the pshat that
No.
There's different pshat and chassidus about that union. I'm saying what's the pshat that it's yeah, the shaila is, I'm saying is, l'mpayel mitzad the of Ermein Amar, and there's mitzad the bittul of Ermein Amar, the is not defined by the gather of Gilui. The l'mayla, kol mahusi, is the etzem which is beyond Gilui. But not all the kudas and are expressed in the mitzias of That's see what's the Havana in the.
It's not mugder it's not a regular or. It's not mugder.
L'mayla is a whole different Indian. It's a whole different Indian. Because the Moir is, or the rest in the language in this Hemshah, since the Moir is also an etzem, so the it's not just the gather of The L'mayla is not just the gather of Gilui. And he doesn't only relate to the Makar, the Makar relates to Gilui. The is davak to the etzem the way it's beyond Gilui. But that inyan is not niz, but it's not nizgal in the mitzias of I'm saying is you have the mitzias of and you have the dvekus of the to the mar, the bittul of the to the mar. It's a different inyan. What I'm saying is just I just want to use a pashta digma just to bring at this point. I mentioned this digma too when we learned. But you have one thing. You have, let's say, the melech needs people to do different jobs. Let's say, this person has to be the Sarah Eitzer. This person has to be the minister of education. Everybody has. So why is this person being this Sarah, that person being that Sarah? So one way is that he has kishrenis. He has kishrenis to be the Sarah Eitzer. Mainly, he's going to be the minister of treasury. He's an accountant. Or he has no mahos. His inyan is there's the melech, and there's the melech's needs. If this is what the melech wants, the melech vertase. You understand what I'm saying? The reason you're saying the reason why he's so good at it is because that's his job that the melech gave him. Therefore, he's good at it. So in such a eifin, he's gonna if someone's the reason. Be'etzem, he's not connected mitzad atzma to the tzir of Gilui. You understand what I'm saying? It's not that his inyan is Gilui. His inyan is whatever the Ratzon HaMelech is. The Ratzon HaMelech from him is to be Mizgal. So he's going to be inyan HaGilui. But if the fact that he's Gilui is not because that's his tzir, that's the Kavanas HaMelech should be Mizgal through him, so his bittul is beyond the properties of Gilui. You heard the meaning? I was trying to make it this marshal.
The Melech wants him to be that after that position. That makes him.
That's what he's going to be busy with. He's going to be doing that. Will be good at that. But the Poyel, his level, his dveikus, the Poyel of the Melech, let's say, needs him to do something else. For his mahus is not mubbo to that tzir. That's the kavanah of the Melech state in that tzir.
But Begila, this is in.
Begila
or has only one.
Begila's er's inyan is the kavanah sa'etzim is that the fact that Atzma Zamar should be nizgal. That's inyan er to express the Nekudas Zamar. The fact that Atzma Zamar is not a distinct from the fact that he's a bayr. So it's the er is margish that. The er is margish not that there's a gather of Gilui and that's his inyan me'atzmusay. The kavanah is that all the kavanah is that the aspect of Mar should be nizgal. So Mela, his inyan is nizgal than the Nekudas Hagilui. So that's his inyan. But not that his bittul and his dvekas is limited to that aspect so it's a bittul which is beyond really the gather of Gilui. This pratim I'm saying, but that's just a dugma lam choshes inyan ulay. Never verstehen this. I'm saying I'm saying the mashal, there are certain things, and saying the mashal lamata. You have and this also you have to know a little bit of Yirem Chassidus, but you have Mein Amor, so you have mitzad the kesher of the to the Mar, which is not a simple connection. So there's certain inyanim in the which are beyond expression, but that's the Mehusa but they're not expressed begili in the You understand what I'm saying? That's you have inyanim ne'alam. You have inyanim which are apparent in the chitzenis, the ingredients of the inyan, and you have inyanim which are not. That's the pnimius of this, but they're not apparent in the chitzenis, the ingredients. You understand what I'm saying? You have inyanim of the shemesh, which is gal in the air, but in the external gdorim of air, it's not nikr. But it's inyanim which are there. I'm saying not there with Knes Mitzias. The Mehusa air is connected to these things, but it's not begili in the Inyan air. Nish yeder zach, which say gili. The fact something's ambiguous doesn't mean that the Inyan doesn't contain it. Something's ambiguous means that it's not expressed in actuality, but the Mehusa of this Inyan is connected to that Inyan. That's what we're saying. We're saying it's not. It's behela. That means the Mehusa air is connected to Beira, but it's not begili in there.
That's lobbed out only by, or accepted even by every or that exists.
No, but every air has this type of aspect of inyanim which are not misgal in the mitzias. You have such an aspect. Not in Lamaila it's shalei be'er higher than that. That you have to learn in Amaramas in Ki'imcha and Samavav a little bit. There it's more verbunden with the inyanim. But I'm saying it's not in a regalachas. There's pratim.